and they look like favorites.
This is my lock of the week.
Dodgers.
No. But don't do this.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about, in baseball, some of the records that you don't think are ever going to be broken, or at least that will be around for a while. So we're going to go around the panel, see what they think, and if you have any comments, or maybe you have your own suggestions, put those below. Make sure you subscribe. If I can get it out of my mouth. And we'll get started with Roger. Roger, what are some of the records in baseball that, or attainments that you think are going to be around for a while?
Well, number one on my most admired list is the career strikeout record held by Nolan Ryan.
Okay, what is
which
that?
is a little over 5,700. I think it's, I would say 5,783. But I'm not positive about that. But no, I don't think so. Maybe not by more than 100 or something. And so that's my choice. The career strikeout record.
Okay.
And I mean, that's just my favorite, but some of the more obvious ones are, DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, of course.
But hasn't that been gotten close to, or no?
I think the closest was, what, 44 by Pete Rose?
I think one person has gotten over 40.
Over 40. I thought for over 50, years. But that might have been something else. That might have been.
I mean, it could be. I just don't. The only
I mean, between you guys, you would know. I think so.
But was there?
No, Pete Rose.
Was there somebody else that's gotten over?
Jimmy Rollins is close.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy Rollins got.
So what's the most recent thing you're talking
about? He's like
about?
the most recent. I believe they got up there.
What was the streak? Not.
Was it 40?
Short of 56, right?
He was pushing.
No one's hitting 50. You're saying?
Not that I can recall.
So that's I agree. That's a pretty good example.
Yeah, definitely nobody's gotten 50.
No. Pete Rose, I believe, did have the longest, but I believe
I think Rose got to 44, but I think that's the second one.
But but that's 12 less.
Yeah, 56.
No, and I forgot about Jimmy Rollins.
Yeah, I'm not remembering that.
Pretty decent one. I mean, that was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
All right.
That one, the Phillies were good, but.
Did you find something over there, Brandon? Find some info.
DiMaggio had 56 games and 41. Some guy Willie Killer. He's a big. Wow. I shouldn't say some guy because he is a big name. Willie Killer.
In the 1800s.
Yeah, 1800s had 45, but Pete Rose had 44, so that we were all right there. But then Bill Dalen in 1894 had 42. George Sisler had 41 in 1922. Cobb had 40 and 11. Oh, I would not have guessed that. And he's actually Paul Molitor had 39 in 87, and Jimmy Rollins had 38 in 05-06.
But listen to what you're saying, though. That makes 56 just look pretty impressive. I mean, because the closest was
baseball.
I mean,
Hit every day.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And you're talking some of those close, the closest were happening in the 1800s.
Right.
Two of the guys you named were pre-Civil War.
Well,
they were still deciding on the name.
One. I mean, post-Civil War, but pre-World War One.
Like Spanish War?
Yeah, even pre-Civil. Yeah. The Spanish War was 1898.
What about like the Japanese-Russian War?
I think that was 1905, so I'd still say, that was before the...
All right.
Roger, you were
the Russian side.
A little off topic, but all right, Bob.
I will say...
Give us a couple hot ones.
I will say this, though. One last thing on this list, though. It is interesting to see that, you have Dan Uggla and Benito Santiago in, the top, 20 all-time hitting streaks in baseball history.
He was on the... Well, he was on the Marlins and the Braves. But
it was Dan Uggla. You wouldn't think that guy could hit together, string together 12 games.
Because his career batting average could not have been all that impressive, I don't believe.
No,
couldn't have been. He did not make contact that often, it didn't seem like.
Yeah, so, but anyways,
When he did, he hit it hard, but Uggla didn't.
There are anomalies in the matrix for sure.
All right, Bob.
My record on most difficult to be broken.
Well, what you most admire?
I mean, it's got to be
hitting 400 again. Would be my most difficult, I think, because it's kind of a home run strikeout leagues. Nobody's really hitting for contact nowadays.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my second one. I think stolen bases is unbreakable from Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, that's all. Nobody.
They just don't do it anymore. One of those things.
Nobody's getting 55 stolen bases in a season,
right?
And then doing that for 20 years.
No. It is weird how it's completely different now. Yeah.
Who leads the league in stolen bases? You maybe have 20, and there's like 1 or 2 guys who do that, and they're halfway behind, and they're not going to play for 20 years.
Remember, there was for a while. I mean, remember when Jose Canseco made it a goal to be a 40-40 guy, and he wanted to get.
Oh, it was a big deal to be a 30-30, 40-40, whatever.
Was Barry Bonds the first 30-30 guy?
Guys that ever went 40-40.
I think so, yeah.
I think Barry Bonds was the first 30-30 guy.
And then Canseco was the first 40-40, and then Bonds joined shortly after, I believe. But then,
but still, that's even
like
only
the
40. There was
last
guys, I mean, for
generation.
3-year spurts,
Lou
like
Brock had
or-
118 that one season. I mean, that's the thing. Did Anderson break his single season?
no, he just played for 15 more years.
no,
then.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure.
No,
I'm pretty sure Ricky Henderson broke every record that Lou Brock had.
Really? I didn't know about stolen bases in a
For the
season,
single
but
season.
I'll take your word
You
for
want
it.
to look that up? Or no?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Did you want to throw a couple in on the back end, or did we talk about yours? Did we already
Yeah, well, there's some,
show yours in the front, in the first part, talking about Roger? Because you went down a list. Were those some of the ones that you were going to mention?
Well, I
as
mean,
far as
they're all
records
like,
and
I
stuff,
mean,
or-
yeah, that list is just like considered to be like the holy grail of the records. I mean, the
Right.
DiMaggio, the Nolan Ryan, the no hitter, like 7 no hitters.
Nowadays in baseball, let's kind of go out to everybody. What do you think is the hardest? Is it hitting something,
Well,
or is it fielding, or is it? I mean, what's different now than it used to be? I mean, is there something majorly different? Brandon, we'll stick with you for now since.
Well, just the overall size and the power and the pitching. I mean, everybody's bigger, faster, and stronger. That's
But not
a
as
big
much as in the
difference.
steroid era. I mean, they were yoked crazy back then, right? Or do you think it's just more natural now and they're still as big?
Yeah, I mean, a combination. Yeah, I mean, they work out more. I mean, there's more technology. There's a lot more
You have
year-round.
nutritionists.
Yeah, nutritionists. I mean, yeah, guys are just taking care of themselves a lot better. And depending on,
I was going to say exactly. Every year is like,
yeah, and depending on who you listen to, I mean, the balls are tight or not tight or whatever. But I mean,
I don't know. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, I had like a question like about the balls being tighter. Like I'm not a baseball fanatic, but like is that a thing? Like
You have to factor
The-
that into these
That's what
records,
they
guys.
talk
I mean,
about.
doesn't like a factory make them since like 1908? Like how do they get tighter? I believe that it's a thing. I'm just saying, how does that even happen? Like,
Right.
how is there not a uniform ball for the way you play the game? Like basketball, the
Because-
basketball is the basketball. I guess.
I mean, I don't know the science behind it either.
Well,
They
against
talk
my
about,
argument
the
though,
ball
like
is, quote, unquote,
before
juiced.
basketball
Well,
games,
they
they
make-
like you get to pick your
There's
ball.
more-
There's-
Right,
more
right.
stuff.
You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
So I
right.
guess there's
That's
just
what I mean.
difference in any kind of a
there's
ball.
There's yeah, I mean they go through an ungodly amount of baseballs in a baseball season. Like I don't even I don't know the exact number, but I know it's in the hundreds for every single baseball game that's played. They go through baseballs.
Was there
Oh,
a
sure.
time?
Just at the major league level.
Yeah,
for
at the
sure.
major
I
league
mean,
level. Basically, the average lifespan of a
foul ball
baseball
does
is
not go
like
back
a
into the
pitch,
league
maybe
level.
2.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean,
Well, do you think that we need to factor it in these records, or
Right,
is that really
like
not?
The same ball is not going to probably be used for 8
Well,
consecutive
But they
pitches.
weren't using
No,
the same
shot.
gloves
no shot.
Right.
back in the 19s.
Right. Some of those gloves look like kids' gloves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
they're
your
like the
child would
rubber
have or
gloves with
something.
like space in between. Like they
Right.
didn't have webs.
It took like a better athlete to catch one back then, dude. Nowadays they got a glove that you just put it near it and it's gonna go in. But
Just believe to do that.
all right. Is there any other records or any other as far as baseball
one thing
goes?
I did want to mention.
Okay.
It just doesn't seem like we should leave without mentioning Cal
Okay.
Ripken Jr.'s
You know what?
consecutive games.
The guy
like
just
that
played
is-
and he
that's
played and he
absurd.
showed up and played.
Think about what he accomplished. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, when Lou Gehrig left, nobody. Of course, everyone thought that was untouchable, but he actually got.
Are we
it.
going to
So
talk?
I mean,
that
I-
was just
I
a
would think that-
consecutive games played. That is.
I mean, I think it's breakable though, as far as some of the records that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I think
that's
it's more
still-
breakable than
What's-
a lot of the
any idea
records.
What's like the most? What's the longest ongoing one? Any idea?
Oh
No,
no,
it
that's a
is.
tough one because these guys take like just like
Yeah,
rest
no,
days now.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's
But if
why
you're-
it's never gonna.
Well,
Right,
but
right.
no, but what was Cal Ripken making when he was doing that? Like, if you're paying Mike Trout $40 million a year, I don't want you to miss a month. I'd rather you miss a day. Let's not pull a hammy out
Right.
there. I'd rather
Well,
have
yeah,
you miss a
that's
day.
part of it.
Part of the
That's
management
another-
now, that's
another
different.
part
But
of
if you're
why
making
I don't
$100
think
grand a
that
year,
should
like
be
you better
broken.
you better get out there every day and play shortstop, son. I don't.
Well, I mean,
You
and then
know?
you're also probably looking at like in the next few years, I would say, like it or not, they're gonna have like a DH in the National League, which add more longevity to somebody's starting career. So I mean, yeah,
that's true.
I mean somebody that
It's got
say
to
like
evolve a little bit over time, you know, and those are the small changes that.
but like and everybody we're talking about here are like one of a kinds. Like there's not like a Nolan Ryan like every year, you know what I mean? So I mean, eventually maybe there probably will be a
Well, I mean, nobody thought Lou Gehrig's record would ever.
yeah. I mean,
yeah, and they yeah. obviously
Well,
no,
and
a
Joe
record
DiMaggio's
be broken,
hasn't.
so.
Are we going to mention the home run record, or is that something that you just?
Oh,
don't
that's
think is
gonna be easily broken.
Well, that's
yeah.
I
Easily
mean,
broken.
nowadays, really? I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
think so?
Oh yeah. You got
Well, that's
I
all
mean,
that
may-
happens nowadays. I mean, it's,
no. You got
Everyone's swinging for the fences. and
there used to be like two guys. I mean, this is 20 years ago. There used to be like two guys, three guys that were like Frank Thomas's size, who's a great home run hitter. There's 30 of those guys on
Okay.
MLB rosters. Everybody's got some giant 6'7" monster.
But man, I mean that record is kind of crazy though. I mean, that's not.
Well,
I mean, it's
yeah,
not
but yeah.
60. It's not 65. I mean, you
with
know,
a single season record.
it's pretty. I
No, but
mean,
that's-
career. Yeah.
Here's the difference between the home run record too, and why I believe Barry Bonds was so great was like he also hit for average. He walked a lot. He hit all those home runs, but like today is more of like you hit a home run or you strike out or you walk. Like nobody's really trying to hit singles
right.
and bat 400. That's like a tough one. That's why I think that's a
why,
tough
you
one to
know,
break.
That's a good point.
That's why I think the strikeouts record's more available. Like guys are just swinging from the hips. They're falling down on,
3-0
3-0 pitches, swinging for the
Do you
swinging for the-
agree
rather
that
than
that's the
trying to
way
get a
they should
single.
manage? Do you agree, or do you think they should play like they used to play, to where everyone just tries to get on, everyone tries to steal, everyone tries to turn the, I mean, that seems to me like a more interesting game to watch too.
That's
so,
definitely why they don't get
you
any
know?
younger viewers. But
Yeah.
that also
You
makes
never
one of
hear
the.
of the hit and run
I
anymore.
don't know if the hits record would be broken.
Uh,
That's a long career of hitting.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
no
Pete
matter
Rose,
what,
Yeah.
you got to have
That's a
pretty
long
good
career of hitting a lot of hits, and like
Well, I mean, it's not likely to be broken. True, just because. Yeah.
you got to play 20 years and hit 250, 260 hits a game.
And
or a
like you
year.
said, a lot of
Pete
times
Rose did play a long time.
Yeah.
they pull you a lot of times, like you said. Nowadays, no matter if if there's a team that hasn't won but 5 games or whatever, and they don't need to play
but
you.
I mean, I would
know?
say on a certain level, yeah, like because if you take Ichiro for example, like he has the technically the national all time hits record.
Yeah, in Japan, off guys who are bagging groceries.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're talking about, right? Including his.
I think
hits
he
in
I think he also got 3,000 hits in
I
America.
think you might be right.
Yeah, we have to check on
Which
that.
Did he
would-
get the hits record for season too? Right? Did he get that?
I'm pretty
one
sure.
season?
I think he
did.
has that. Yeah.
He did.
And I'm not saying Ichiro is better than Pete Rose, but what I'm getting at is like with exactly what you're talking about with how the game is being like more focused towards that, the way pitchers pitch. If you have Pete Rose, Ichiro, Tony Gwynn type
those slot
approach,
hitters,
you could accumulate a bunch
yeah.
of
Yeah,
a
hitting
bunch of big
against
hits, a
slapping
bunch of
against
Oh, you
170,
could, you're right.
all the shit.
200
You're right.
hit
You just get one
seasons,
guy that's what he does,
and you're really good at it, and you can last.
and you get to be a millionaire for 20 years.
Wade Ball.
Yeah.
Wade Boggs, yeah. But
Mark
no,
Grace.
yeah, it's
Yeah, he
just
had the most hits in either the 80s or the 90s.
I think it was the 90s.
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
just
that makes more sense.
like,
He
but
had the
you,
most hits in the major leagues in the 90s.
Mhm.
Mark Grace.
but yeah, you guys are right. But there's so many guys that just don't do that anymore. So the defense it should be adjusted, and pitching should be adjusted to the other stuff.
But when do you stop adjusting and start setting a trend and take advantage of how people they're going to defend you or how they're going to react, what the norm is, and go,
Well,
I'm gonna do outside that
Oh, that's what kills me is that shift. Every time I watch a baseball, every time there's a every
Can
you
you hit the
don't
ball
think
with the
Pete
bat
Rose
and
would
just-
just be laying one down the third baseline and
All
running out
day
a single
long.
all day long?
Yep.
No,
That's the
these guys still
difference
stand up
nowadays.
there and just hack at him like there's 4 guys between first base and second
Do they
base.
even
Like,
teach bunting to a lot of the players, or is it like if you
No,
come up
I-
and you bunted, they'll be like, okay, well,
Yeah, I think that's like a
certain
wimp move.
situations. It almost is, yeah.
I think
you
that's a
never-
wimp
never
move.
see it accomplished successfully anymore.
All right,
Well,
guys.
yeah.
Is there any other?
that's where And there's a whole nother segment we could do on that. But
I know exactly.
but yeah, no, where they took the human aspect out of it and they combined it
analytics.
with computers and analytics, and now
70%
we're going.
of the time it does this, so we're gonna do
So
that.
we're
Yeah,
going back
we should
and
go
forth.
for 2-point conversions.
Yeah, so you're going like all day long, going back and forth through, you know,
And it's
in
probably
our
bad for the
minds.
hitter to change the way he hits every bat,
It's
whether
easy for
they're
him to be in a habit of doing.
oh,
something.
are they moving over? Should I change the way I bat now and change my swing and change my stance? And
And
I got to
mean,
pay 162 games.
They weren't the first. I mean, Ted Williams had a shift on him. I mean, that's all the way back. I mean, so it's not like the first time they've had a shift in a sense,
But to use it,
But they
so
do it for
widely.
like
now
every
they do
lefty
it.
and righty.
now they do it so often, and they do it for, you know, who's going to start. You know, like there's managers who don't even get to pick the starting lineup now because the analytics come from the top down to the bottom.
Yeah, this is
what
who's pitching. Here's where you're
the
starting.
perfect lineup is going to be for us analytically.
It's the Ziosk of baseball.
Which is like, and just for my last part of it,
Pretty soon you're gonna can stay at
yeah.
home and do it. You can
Yeah,
put the
and-
lineup in.
and understandably for guys of our age who grew up a long time ago, in a sense, it's just odd to not think that, you know, the
That's
human
part of the game, part of the managing and
Yeah,
using
like
what you
that.
have and playing that type
These-
of ball.
Like you're telling me, like the manager didn't pick the lineup.
Right.
Like, what
Of
the
all the
fuck
things
is he
he's gotta
doing?
do.
Like, yeah, what did you hire him for? Like
What
to
is he,
sit
like, just
there
a-
and like, you know,
a
chew
cheerleader
Bazooka
for you?
Joe with big old red man in there? I mean,
He's
I
the bubblegum getter.
yeah, I don't.
All right, guys. So I think we kind of covered all the records, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be an
Yeah,
interesting
absolutely.
season to see how everything changes. You know, after COVID's kind of. I was watching golf today. That's right. I'm older. I watch golf.
Well,
And you know what? It's crowds there. I mean,
Oh.
not massive crowds, but I mean, especially around like as it got near the end of the holes, they were all around it. Everybody. Some people were wearing masks. Some people weren't. But I can see we're creeping out of it, and I think sports is really going to start showing, hopefully, with some vigor. You know, that everybody's back and ready to, you know, to get after it.
well,
So
I def-
Texas Rangers.
I watched the
opener,
range.
Oh, yeah.
38,000 people.
I watched the Rangers game yesterday. It was packed.
Oh yeah.
was
It
gonna
was
say-
packed. It was
Tampa
packed.
Bay's probably going to have some good, you know, better than they've had in the past sometimes.
People
just
who
because
wouldn't
of-
even. I bet they're selling more tickets than they ever did. Like their first, like being the third week of the season, and they'd probably be drawing like 18, 20,000. But they're like, no, this is the only game in town.
Hey,
We can
whatever
fill the.
sells the
They're
ticket.
And we
40.
haven't
They're
been able
40.
to-
They weren't drawing 40,000
And, no.
no, not
even on opening day, probably.
Well, I mean, the big benefit is the first time you've been able to get into that stadium. They're kind of like Allegiant Stadium. That stadium was.
Oh, it's a new
It's a
stadium.
new stadium. yeah.
Oh, okay.
That'd be good. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this time.
Week 17,
Yeah.
Bears at Vegas.
Yeah, you can tell we're from Vegas, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the extra added game. Week 17, Bears at Vegas.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Thanks for watching, guys. Hey, if you got some great
Cut it,
records you
cut
think that
it.
we didn't mention, make sure you list them below. We're going to get out of here. Make sure you subscribe so we have some more videos coming out, and we'll catch you next time.